All right. Okay, so we're letting summative assessments. That's the stuff that we are grading, and we're making certain that we let evidence of new achievement. We allow students to do this. It's the CRC model. It's that you don't hit 70%, you don't hit 80%, whatever it is. We expect the kids to hit that. You've hammered that. Certainly if you're a special education teacher or have special education students, which you all do have, obviously we're going to rely a great deal on what the IEP says, but certainly individually referenced criteria that we're going to use, that's very, very common. It's a little bit of a departure from a typical standards-based approach. That's okay. It's the nature of it. All right. Okay, and let me get in a couple things here that you're going to be surprised by. This is what academic achievement is defined as. We know the subject content, we know the content, the thinking, being able to communicate in a classroom. These are some of the things, though, that we don't use. We don't use attitude, aptitude, effort. That surprises people. Compliance, discipline. We don't use that in a grading system. Okay? I know that's going to surprise you. But hitting the standard is the most important thing. Hitting the learning target is the most important thing. Could you hit the standard being, bad attitude, little aptitude, very little effort, and a jerk in class? Could you get that? Could you hit the standard? You're negative in all four of those areas? Absolutely you can. You have kids every single day that are demonstrating that fact. Every single day. Okay? So what do we want to do with them? We want to crack them. Right? We want to hit them with the grade. Hey, shape up. Or the best grade you're going to get in this class is a C. Okay? This isn't college. We don't do that. You can't do that here. All right? That's not a part of what we are about. Yeah, they can. They really can. You know, absolutely. Do we want a positive attitude? Sure we do. No question about it. With each of those four areas, you know, the aptitude, the attitude, the discipline thing, the effort thing, should those be noted someplace? Sure. Absolutely they should be. No problem. But not on the letter grade. Not on A, B, C, D, or F. Of course, we don't get the D's and F's anyway. So A, B, C. Intelligence, fixed, or developmental? Well, we believe it's developmental, right? Based upon an aptitude. Nope, we don't worry about that one. Don't give yourself the excuse, or don't let yourself have the luxury of the excuse of, well, just doesn't have the aptitude for it. He's good in other things, just doesn't have the aptitude. To excuse the fact that kids aren't being successful. No, that's not something that we can go along with. You know, early struggling with material is normal. It's normal, to be expected. Okay? Now some, like Aaron, are going to pick it up right away. Other people aren't. That's okay. Our whole point is that it's not how fast, but if and when they hit it. Yeah, they do. Yep, they do. That's just the way it is. One of the teachers said to me, she said, you know, I struggled with that one a little bit until I figured it out. Bruce, wasn't the problem with the kid who was able to easily hit the standard without trying? Isn't that more of a me issue as a teacher than it is a him issue? I said, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Because you remember one of the 4 questions that we always have to respond to? What do we do if they do know it? What do we do if they learn it? Okay? All right? So being able to hit that. Compliance. See it all the time. Less more recently, now that we've been in PLCs for a long time. Is it important to have class rules, school rules? Sure, of course it is. No problem. We expect them. Student misbehavior, do we deal with it? Absolutely we deal with it. No question about it. We don't have to put up with anything. You don't. No problem. Is it appropriate to reduce a goal based upon misbehavior? It's not. It's not. Okay? Fundamentally, that's a hard concept for a lot of people to get. What about class citizenship? What about participation? What about negative attitude? That kid's a jerk. He's affecting the rest of the class. All may be true. All may be true. Okay? If one of your learning targets, you're in an English classroom, teaching discussion techniques, one of the techniques that you teach students in a discussion class is to be able to interject, to be able to disagree agreeably, okay? You have specific learning targets. There's like 19 different things kids have to know when you teach discussion. It's for a different time, but I always laugh when I read new teacher goals or objectives. Students will discuss. We'll discuss. Well, that works well if you've taught them how to discuss. You know, there's like 17 or 18 different subsets in what kids have to be able to do to be successful. So my point is, if being able to participate appropriately as a part of a discussion related to a learning target, if that's one of the learning targets, certainly a student not being able to hit some of those criteria is important. But it's not, in general, well, just not appropriate for us to lower grades based upon the student discipline issues. Okay. All right. I've talked about this one, questionable practices, basically because we know all the points aren't created equal. Plus, there's some issues there related to the summatives and letting evidence of new achievement replace old. Okay? Average 7.4. Solid C, right? Really? Not for me, it isn't. Recent behavior or recent scores? 80, 90, 100. Good solid C. Doesn't reflect new achievement. Okay? If you're going to use something, I mean, maybe mode, you know, instead of the average, maybe use a mode, you know, maybe. I don't know. Mean, possibly. All right. The one assessment drove you nuts in college. Your grades can be determined by how well you do on this presentation you're going to be giving on December 13th, 2 days before the end of the semester. Okay? Don't do that. Okay, these things we can't do. Can't use at all. Can't grade on the curve. Can't grade on a curve. Can't do it. It's not college again. Grading on a curve is a classic. I taught it. Whatever they get, they get. So in other words, if 50% is the highest in this group, you get the A. Our standards are much higher than that. Okay? We don't grade on the curve. Talked about that. Okay. Sometimes this is hard too. Power of zeros. You're familiar with that? How that can kill student achievement, how that can kill motivation. But more importantly, the work is missing or it's wrong. Most of the time it's just missing, right? Not turning it in. Didn't do it or aren't going to do it, whatever. They have to do it. Okay? They have to do it. And giving a 0 basically says to the kids, that's okay. You don't have to do this very, very important thing that teachers and administrators and the District of Marshfield have spent hours and hours and hours on, identifying what is most important for you to learn. Oh, we'll just give me a 0. I don't want to do it, Mr. King. Just give me a 0. Okay? We don't do that. Now, a lot of times in the past, people say, you know, I got to have something though, Bruce. Got to have something. Because some kids, Dave Shepke will say this, and we do a marvelous job at the middle school. But I recognize, yeah, I understand that we do have some kids who you literally, if you use my philosophies, would literally have to put the damn pencil in their hand and draw the appropriate answer for the kid to get it done. Yeah, I do get that. I understand that. So I understand that there are some kids like that. Okay? I get it. Okay. But for most of the kids, for the last couple of years, they've gotten it real clear. Okay? They've gotten it. The CRCs that have now gone almost all the way down to all the elementaries has really kind of cured that thing. Yes, you're going to be in CRC until this summative is finished to this particular level, 70, 75%. And no, we don't expect the kids typically to redo the entire summative. You know, they did well on some parts of it, so we'll give them the part of the summative that they didn't do well on. CRC teacher works with them. You work with them as a teacher, and they turn it around, and they move on. Now, if they don't, you're not going to chase them around. You're going to tell people what the story is. I know at the high school that, I think high school, middle school, they have 12 days until the end of the quarter, at the end of the quarter, to complete that, missing summative. And at that point, if the kid has not completed that summative, the teacher may give a 0. Okay? They may. It rarely, rarely, rarely happens. Okay? It's back to that kid who, you know, that thing. Okay? Most kids, secondary level for sure, is far less of an issue at the elementary level. Give them an incomplete, that's powerful. Another prohibited practice, again, this is appearing less and less and less. Word searches, crossword puzzles. One I still see, but I won't see when I come visit your classroom, I'm sure, is having kids copying the questions out of the textbook into their notebook. No, we don't do that. Okay? Copying for the sake of copying. Really? That's busy work. This one's going to be hard for you. Yeah, homework, teacher response, I already talked about that. Extra credit. I know that one is hard for some people. You know what giving extra credit does? I used to give extra credit all the time. You went into teaching because you are, I'm sure most people in here, 99% of the people in here. You went into teaching because you love kids, you want them to succeed, and you're people persons, and you like it when kids have success. Everybody does. I used to give extra credit. I hated flunking kids. I hated it. I hate it. So what I say, I'd give it'd be 2 days before the end of the quarter, have my sophomores. I'd tell them, we got end of the quarter coming up. These are your grades. Hand them out. And I see the tears. And I see the tears. I'll sucker for the tears. Okay? Mr. King, isn't there anything I can do? I'm going to get grounded for a month. I'm not going to be able to play, let's see, football, cheerleading, baseball. I mean, you name it, I heard them all. Okay? And that's when your heart cries and you go, I tell you what, I shouldn't do this, but. Tell you what, if you get this in, or if you do this extra credit work, if you do this report on Napoleon, if you do this, that, or the next thing, I'll give you the extra credit and you'll pass, or you'll get the next grade, or whatever it is. Okay. That's compassionate. That's seat of the pants, trying to be a nice person. Okay? But you know what extra credit does in your classroom? If that becomes the standard, if that becomes something that the kids know and expect, what do you think happens to their daily work, their daily attention to hitting those formative assessments, that daily point of making certain that they're right with you and doing all the things that you expect them to do, all the things we just talked about? You're undermining that. You're undermining that. Okay? Okay. So, don't give extra credit. And this is kind of the technical part of it. Yeah, it is. Okay. All right, guys.